Okay, so we're recording. Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, whenever you're watching this, and wherever you are watching this. This is as you can see on the screen, squad retain list 24-25. Now I'm filming this on StreamYard. The reason I'm doing that is it's going to be quite a long-winded video for me to film it, download a file, transfer it over, then drop everything into Premiere Pro, graphics, etc. It's going to take a while, so the camera may not be as strong as usual. And for that, I apologise, but the message will be the same. In this video, we're going to look back at the season and what we've been left with in terms of squad retain list. It was announced a couple of days ago now, I believe, and we're going to go through, see who's left the club, see who's staying, and look at potentially what we need going forward for next season. There's a lot of graphics, and there's a lot to get through. So let's fire straight in. First off, before they announced the retain list, the club, they put this graphic out, and what I like to call this one is I've labelled it big hitters. So it's a thank you to the more recognised members of the first team squad from the season that's just passed, shall we say. Murray Wallace, Sean Hutchinson, Duncan Watmore, Aaron Connolly, and then loanees Ryan Wintle, Zach Sturge, Josh Coburn, and Callum Scanlon all left the club. I don't think there was any surprises there. I think the only one potentially that people were questioning, and I did cover this in a previous video, was going to be Aaron Connolly. I said, judging by his Instagram account, that he was going to be leaving the club. He has left the club. There was an option to extend. Where are you? There you are, for another year. But the club haven't taken Connolly up on that. As it stands, things could change. Sean Hutchins has left the club now, club captain, which we'll go into in a minute. And don't forget, I think at the back end of last season, he left. And then he came back when we was not scratching around, but we thought we'll bring it back, a little bit of a stability, a strong backup, someone who knows the club. So for now, Connolly's out the door. It wouldn't surprise me if the club went back in for him at one point. Sorry, that's the wrong graphic. There it is. But I think I've covered this before in videos. I think the club are punching a little bit above, no disrespect to Connolly. I think we've sort of gone on to new horizons after the January transfer window where we signed 8 players. And I don't think that Connolly's going to be the sort of player we're looking to recruit in the long term. Ryan Wintle, you know what? I said the same thing the other day to my mate on the phone. It wouldn't surprise me if the club offer Ryan Wintle a 1-year deal. I'm not sure where he stands contractually with Cardiff, but he would have gone back now and they were in League One, so they might want to use him themselves. But it wouldn't surprise me if the club offered him a contract. Josh Coburn and Zach Sturge, I think, are the two strong contenders for a permanent Millwall move. The club have been vocal. Again, I've covered it in previous videos that they are interested in signing Josh Coburn on a permanent deal. I would be interested in doing that if the price is right, but I don't think the club will jump into any major decisions. I think they'll look around what's available first and foremost. And Zach Sturge, again, messages on his Instagram and suggestions on his Instagram that his contract could be up at Chelsea. So we're going to look at what we've got available in a minute in his position. I'd definitely be interested in signing Zach Sturge on a contract, if he's definitely out of contract, to be fair. He's got potential, he's young, and I'd be interested in paying money for him. But if we didn't have to do so, it would be even better. Let me know where you stand on those 4 that have left. Is there anything you would definitely take back? Callum Scanlon, I mean, almost a forgotten man, really. Came in, did really well. Then I think he got injured. Then he came back, scored that really good goal at home to Cardiff. They're getting a lot of view time in this Cardiff. At home, the game we ended up drawing 2-2 after being 2-0 up and conceding 2 goals quite late on one especially late on. I think it was 90+7, wasn't it? That was on Sky that day. But Scanlon looks like a good player, but he would have gone back to Liverpool now. Again, hampered by injuries. Again, left-footed. If you look at that, who's left pegger-wise, Murray Wallace is gone, and Scanlon and Sturge. And then there's going to be other left-footers that we'll cover that have left the club. I know it's not the be-all and end-all, but left-hand side of the defence / left wing-back is a position that we're going to be looking to strengthen, in my opinion. So let's start out with 2 club legends, Murray Wallace and Sean Hutchinson, both leaving the club. 494 appearances between them. And as I said on my Instagram post, you may have just seen there some unbelievable memories down the years. Some big goals as well. I know they're both defenders, but some big goals and big moments and memories we'll never forget from those two. So a sad day that they are leaving the club. Let's start with Sean Hutchinson. Of course, this means now that the club will be searching for a new club captain. And there's the statement from Hutch. After 9 years, my time at Millwall FC has come to an end. Firstly, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to the fans, players, staff, and of course the Berylson family for their continued support throughout my time here. From the very first day to now, I've loved every minute of it. It's been a great honour and a proud moment for myself and my family to have been able to captain this great club. We will cherish the memories and friendships we've made along the way for life. All the best for the future, and hopefully see you again at the Den very, very soon. Yeah, club legend. And as we say in this day and age, I'll click onto Murray Wallace's and you can read that one for yourselves if you like. While I just talk you through, it doesn't really happen in this day and age anymore, does it? It doesn't happen. You know, club legends. This is why I love Jake Cooper. He's going the same sort of way. Players come and go a lot more frequently than they have done in football historically down the years. So it is a shame to see both those go. Would imagine, well, especially this season, both those have played a strong part, you know, in nurturing the youth, advising two stellar professionals. Murray Wallace especially is sort of someone that epitomises a Millwall player. Maybe not the most talented in the world, but hard graft and desire gets you through. And again, another club legend leaving the club. So I suppose we're looking to fill that void, not just as a club captain somewhere along the line, but also, you know, experience-wise, arm round players, younger players-wise, and the togetherness and the feeling and the professionalism around the dressing room. Duncan Watmore also, of course, left the club out of a strange season for Watmore. I think it was the right decision for him to leave. He was the Championship top scorer after about 3 or 4 weeks. And he started the season really well, but he tailed off, got injured. And then again, look, pointing back to what I was saying about the club going down a different route. So those 8 players have left, 4 out of contract and 4 loanees, 2 of which potentially, I believe, could still return to the club. So let's take a look now at the actual retain list. This is part 1 of the retain list. It says elsewhere, talks over new contracts are ongoing with George Saville, George Honeyman, Danny McNamara, Liam Roberts and George Evans, whilst the club have exercised its option to extend the deals of Billy Mitchell, Joe Bryan and Wes Harding. Wes Harding we've heard about, of course. Joe Bryan is now the only left-back at the club to my knowledge, and I may forget people in this video. I'm pretty sure I haven't. I have checked with the boys on the WhatsApp group, but if I do forget anyone along the way, I do apologise. And some interesting ones there. George Saville and George Honeyman, I think it was News at Den that put out a couple of weeks ago. They've offered Honeyman and Saville contracts on reduced terms. So I think that's potentially what the hold up was with the retain list coming out, although it hasn't, you know, they still haven't resolved that by the look of it. Also on that list, Danny McNamara, of course, he's recovering from a long-term ACL. Liam Roberts and George Evans, these are the interesting ones for me. That suggests to me that, you know, it's clear, really. Don't suggest to me. It's pretty obvious that both those players are going to be out of contract now. I'm going to get onto the goalkeepers in a minute, but Liam Roberts definitely needs a new contract. And I think, fair play to George Evans, I think what he's done at the back end of last season has put him in contention for a new contract. So I'll be honest, I don't think he probably would have got offered one if circumstances hadn't have led to him having to play the last 3, 4, 5 games and done particularly well in the last 2 or 3 man of the match performances. In a couple of those, I think Swansea at home, wasn't it? And then definitely Burnley away was very, very strong. So there you go. Confirmation a little bit lower down of what we've already covered. And the fact that the club are in negotiation with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players there. Wes Harding, like I said, we've heard about, and they're going to be exercising the option of the contract extensions of Billy Mitchell and Joe Bryan as well. Right at the bottom there, you might be able to see, well, you can see. I don't know if you see, you might be able to see. Unless you're partially sighted, apologies if you are. Hopefully my audio is covering it for you sufficiently. Adam Mayer, Kamal Grant, both on loan at Bromley. They both return to the club. And Kevin Nisbet. Now, I'm going to cover all those shortly. We're going to go through every single position and see what we've got and maybe ask the question what we also need. This is the second part of the retain list. A few surprises in here for me. Chinakoli, Shamal Lawson, Carl Smith, Henry Hearn, Tom Leahy, Oliver Evans, Cavalli Hayward, Ethan Wadi, Nino Adamalaki, and Dylan Adair will also depart the club. Covering those boys, Chinakoli, no offence, yeah, not surprised with that one. Shamal Lawson is one. Oh, let's come off that graphic for a minute. Shamal Lawson's one, like many others down the years, that I watch and rate, When I say a rate, they stand out at the level they're at, but they never get the chance in the first team. And no disrespect to any of those players that I have rated down the years, I think out of all the ones that have ever left, really, the one that's got highest back in the leagues is probably Tanto, who just fell short with Stockport in the playoffs against Leyton Orient in the League One playoffs. So I'm saying I rate these players, and I'm only going off what I see in terms of what level they're playing at and their abilities, and if they stand out at those levels. There's clearly a massive gap between all levels now, like we know Premiership, Championship, League One. That's why a lot of clubs that go up come straight back down and yo-yo amongst all divisions. But I was particularly surprised, I can't lie, out of all those with Nino Adam Malaki. Now, of course, he has also been suffering from a long-term injury. Did come back right at the back end of last season. A left back as well, like I said earlier, we're struggling for left peggers now. So very surprised Nino's left. Carl Smith is another one that captains the 21s quite a lot, although I've not seen anything of him in the first team. Henry Hearn, Tom Leahy, Ethan Wardy and Dylan Adair I have covered in a previous roundup video. I'll link that in at the end if you haven't seen that. And new contracts for Kamal Grant. He's obviously younger than I thought. Frankie Baker, Jaden Celestine Charles, Ben Drake, the left back we got from Sheffield United a while back, Jet Dyer, Jack Howland, and Rafik Lamptey. They've all had their years options exercised. There's a player that doesn't get mentioned in any of this, and I'm going to cover him now because he's very highly rated at the club. That is Sheldon Kendall. I've looked at it. I think it's because he's only 17 years old, but he is brightly tipped for the future. I'm guessing it could have played a part in why Cavalli Hayward wasn't offered that extension as well. And yeah, so he hasn't been mentioned in any of those, but he is under long-term contracts at the club, which was posted by them. That was one of the photos on the Twitter page earlier this season. So the club hasn't actually, I can't find it if they have put out a retained list. This is who's left. So I said, I've done the numbers this morning. If I have forgotten anyone, I'm sure someone can't wait to let me know in the comments, and I do apologise. But let's look where we are now in terms of positions. These took me fucking ages, by the way. As it stands, to my knowledge, there is 3 senior goalkeepers at the club. There is another one called Jacob Prozinecki, I think his name's something like that, but I'm not including him in first team assessment for this. So George Evans and I was going to say Lucas Jensen is there, but George Evans and Liam Roberts are currently in talks to sign new contracts. As we know, Lucas Jensen has an Achilles injury and he is out till around Christmas. So in my mind, I'm expecting there between the lines that Liam Roberts will be number 1 and George Evans will be the number 2 until Lucas Jensen's return. Will the club look for other alternatives there? I think we've done a lot of spending in January. Not so sure we're going to go as mad this summer. I think the club will prioritise, and I think that they will look at those goalkeepers. There is a risk, but with goalkeepers, you can always get emergency loans, and if one was to get injured. But as it stands, I think Liam Roberts and George Evans will both sign new contracts. Liam Roberts will be the number 1. George Evans, as we know now, very capable number 2. Waiting for Lucas Jensen to come back, what it'll be 4 or 5 months into the season still. But I think the club will probably look at its budget. If there is a budget, it didn't seem to be one in January, did it? Seem like the sky was the limit. But I think they'll look at that and see that as sufficient for now. Again, I could be wrong. And I'm sure, as I said just a minute ago, you will be absolutely queuing up to let me know if you think I am wrong. But I think we're covered for goalkeepers. And another reason I'm saying that is we're definitely in need of extra players in extra positions, which we're going to get onto now. So looking at centre-backs, okay, you could throw Ryan Elliott in there if need be, but I don't think the club are, say, going down that route anymore. To my knowledge, we've got 3 central defenders left at the club now because, of course, club captain Sean Hutchinson and Murray Wallace, 2 club legends, have left the club out of contract, gone, as well as Chinakoli leaving. That means to me, that is pretty much the 3 centre-backs that we have available. And it is, as you can see, team captain. I'm potentially expecting him to move to club captain there as well. Jake Cooper, Jaff, and Tristan Kramer. I'm out of practice. I nearly forgot Tristan Kramer's name then. Oh, I'm a little bit out of practice. Okay, for me, I mean, already a lot of people have been saying to me, I hope Kramer don't play right back this season. I'm pretty confident, unless injuries come into play again, 100%. He's come here to be a centre back and a first choice centre back, potentially as a long term replacement for Coops. But other than that, I think things could be taken out of our hands with Big Jaff because, yeah, let's be honest, he's had a fantastic season. Clubs are knocking at the door and monitoring. I don't think Bromley's one of them. And it would be a shame. I'm hearing that Jaff's very happy at the club. You know, he's got time left on his contract, but unfortunately, as I've covered in previous videos as well, money talks, and I think it will be difficult for us to keep hold of Jaff for the start of next season. So if that was to happen, then we need a very much 2 or 3. At that stage, looking at that there, if we kept all 3, I would say we need 2 more centre backs. You've got Wes Harding there, of course. Sorry, Big Wes, but again, I'm not sure. That's who I have left off, by the way. I've just realised off the graphics, but I covered him as a contract renewal, so I got away with that one. Yeah, what do we do from here? You've got Leonard potentially and Wes Harding that can cover as centre backs. If Jav was to go or whether he wasn't to go, I still feel that the club may spend a bit of money in this area, and I would say we need 1 strong centre back for competition amongst these 3, bear in mind injuries and suspensions and the fact that Jaff could go. I'm expecting the club to spend quite big in this area on 1 and then potentially get another squad player in. Let me know in the comments what you think is needed. Moving on to fullbacks, again, you could include Big Wes in this as cover, but now thinking about it, with Murray Wallace gone, with Nino gone, it leaves Joe Bryan potentially, and we'll get on to other people that have come back to the club shortly, as the only left back at the club. You could include Adam Mayer in that or Kamal Grant. They have both been playing for Bromley. Adam Mayer has actually been keeping Kamal Grant out the side. Ryan Leonard is going to be our first choice right back. Lenny, the fine wine, just gets better with age. And Danny McNamara, of course, is still recovering from that long-term injury. Danny Mac is fantastic competition / backup for both of those in those areas. But I think you'll see the club go and try and get another left back. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Zach Sturge. And like I said, I'll be very, very pleased with that appointment. At right back, you've got Lenny with Wes Harding as backup. I think Alex Neil now is sort of, I was going to say nailed on in a 4-4-2. It's not nailed on, but I definitely think that's the way that we're going at the minute. So we're not looking down the wing back route. And with Lenny, if he can stay fit, he's always had his injury worries, and that's, and time out through injuries. But as he gets older, it's going to probably get, more grueling, shall we say, on him. I think he suffered that at the back end of last season. He came back in after injury, done really well, and then I think it was at Blackburn away, burnt out. He had to play left back, and then I think he dropped out the side towards the last few games. Age is creeping in, unfortunately, as good as he is. So for me, I mean, let's be honest, I think you're looking at a long-term first choice right back replacement and a long-term first choice left back replacement. I think Sturge could fit the bill at left back and right back. I'm open to offers and comments in the comments section. Right, this is an interesting one. Moving on to our central midfield players. Now, a lot of people say we need a central midfielder, we need this, we need that. I would love for the club to go out and spend 5 million on a central midfielder. However, again, going back to what I said with the goalkeepers, I don't think it's going to happen. And that, again, look, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. But I think that the club will look at those 4 players there, see that we're well stacked. I think that Billy Mitchell and Casper are going to be the first choice, with Savs coming on and doing his bit. And I think along with Idemo Mako, I think he's as strong as, if not stronger off the bench than he is a starter, Savs, as he's getting older now. Definitely been, a first choice for us down the years, but with his age, I definitely think that Savs is a brilliant option to come on, kill the game, manage it, getting the refs here, buy us free kicks, Dennis Wise style in good positions. And I think he's a brilliant option for that, like I said. But I don't think the club, and I could be wrong, people saying we need an 8, we need this. If we go 4-4-2, I get that, but if we revert back to a 10, then I think that these 4 are more than capable of being sufficient for us to survive / push on again. Casper De Norre, it just gets better and better. Billy Mitchell's played a lot of games now and his experience despite his age, and he's still improving. Savs, like I said, can come on and be the mentor amongst all those and dip in and out. But the one for me is Daniel Kelly. Now, Daniel Kelly, let's not forget, and I thought about this morning. I sort of was half having a row myself. Daniel Kelly is not an Alex Neil signing. However, he is a Steve Gallen signing. And I think that's something you've got to look at in this day and age in football. I've earmarked this before with Zian Fleming, where Vincent Kompany, or supposedly it was Burnley that were after Zian Fleming, even after Kompany left. Scott Parker's the manager, and they were still as keen on Fleming. Eventually, they got him and he helped him greatly in their promotion to the Premier League for next season. So I think, okay, people might say, well, he wasn't an Alex Neil signing, so Alex Neil's not going to really want him. I don't think that's the case. I think Steve Gallen is massively pulling the strings, and I'm not knocking that. I like the players he's recruited. I think he's gone after a better bracket of player, like I said previously. And I like what he does, Steve Gallen. Well, I don't know what he does exactly day to day, but I like the bracket of players he's been getting in. So I wouldn't say he isn't an Alex Neil signing. I would say he's a player that we sought after. We paid extra money for him to come to the club early. And he's got to get his chance, hasn't he? Because I don't want it to go down the route of, the Shamal Lawsons, the Sean O'Briens, the Hayden Mullers, the Nana Boatangs, all these players I'm mentioning. Like I said, no disrespect to them, all having careers in football, but never kicked on. But I think the only way they can kick on is like the George Alexander thing. I'm veering off slightly. During lockdown, John Daly Bavasa was playing up front. Tom Bradshaw couldn't get in front of him either. And I just feel if you really give George Alexander his chance at that point, then he may not be where he is now. It's sliding doors moments. He's scoring a lot of goals for Eastbourne Borough, and he's probably going to get a move into the league. But these players, okay, I might say I liked a lot of them, but this is where they are now. But maybe they only are where they are now because they never got the opportunity. And I think to sign Daniel Kelly and then bring in Ryan Wintle, he came slightly after. Again, check me on the comments on that one. Was that a little bit... not shooting yourselves in the foot, because I didn't mind Brian Wintle as it goes. But, yeah, for me, Kelly's got to get his opportunity now. Otherwise, what was the point in signing him? What was the point in paying the extra money for him to be here early? Maybe it was for the likes of Savs to get an arm around him and nurture him and get him ready for this season. So that's what I hope will happen. For me, those four, Kelly's still massive potential. The other two established championship players, De Norre going from strength to strength, and Saville, being around it, being the mentor, coming on and managing games for us and having certain minutes. I feel that's still a strong four, and especially if we play a 4-4-2, I'm not sure the club will look elsewhere. I hope they do. I hope they go out and spend 5 million on a centre back, 5 million on a centre midfielder, and 5 million on a centre forward. Ideally, that's the three positions I think that we need to strengthen. Let the cat out of the bag a little bit early there, haven't I? But there you go. Right, moving on. Who's next? Right, I've titled this section is miscellaneous. These are players that we know nothing about, really, or we know enough about to know that they're not going to be first-team starters. But they're in the squad, and they're all definitely useful, in my opinion. Just, the squad depth that we supposedly had this season, just gone, was ridiculous. And when you looked at it, Burnley on the last day was absolutely down to bare bones, weren't we? So I think the importance of a huge squad is great. And looking at these players, Alfie Massey, I know I haven't put him there in the central midfielders because he signed a new deal, didn't he? Went on a tour of Spain, and then never kicked a ball, but never went out on loan. So I'd be interested to know where Massey is. I know he's highly rated by the club, and straight away, I think of Bromley straight away. Send him out to somewhere like that. He's got to be in the league for me, Alfie Massey. But I thought I'd mention him in this video because if I don't, someone will probably say in the comments, "What about Alfie Massey?" So for me, he's down the pecking order, probably fifth choice, if not lower, with Honeyman there, of course, it can also play central midfield. But for me, we need to know what's going on here. Well, as long as he knows, I suppose that's the main thing. But get him out on loan, getting some minutes here this season, potentially away from the club. I can see that happening. There's no point in playing the first round of the Carabao Cup, us getting knocked out, and then him not playing for the rest of the season and languishing in the 21s. So, pardon me. So I would get Alfie Massey out on loan. Next up is Benicio Baker. Now, he could fit into another bracket, which we're going to come on to next, or the one after next. But again, we know very, very little about him. Again, the club have gone down a different route. Instead of nurturing our own talent, we've gone for, the likes of him that have performed at a slightly higher level and then have sort of not fallen away, but now dropped down to maybe help them kick on again at our football club. Lovelace is similar, and there's a few others which we'll get onto. But for me, no, that's the wrong graphic. There it is. Benicio Baker, we don't really know a lot about him. Will he be involved? Will a loan suit? We'll wait and see on that one. The other two, funny enough, one was a centre forward and one was a central midfielder. Now, we've covered Honeyman, and I haven't put Langstaff in with the strikers, and there is a reason for that. I think, I could be wrong, again, I've been wrong before. I think that you're going to see Langstaff. We did see it towards the back end of last season. I think you're going to see Langstaff potentially doing a George Honeyman-esque role, as in play wide, energy, can tuck in defend if we need him to, make us a little bit more scrappy in away games, a little bit more structured. It's a little bit of a Neil Harris / Gary Rowett, way of doing things. But Honeyman seems to do it well. Did I want him to have the extra year in his contract? It's not going to hurt to have him around, is it? I wouldn't like to see him start every week, but I think he definitely picked up his game at the back end of last season and was involved in some great results. And that little run we put towards the end of the season, never more so than setting up the big garlic for the goal at Burnley, which stuck us in the playoffs for about a minute and 20 seconds. But yeah, for me, I don't know where Langstaff's going to go. I don't think he's going to be sold. I would imagine he signed a 2-year deal, which means he's got a year left. So I think he'll be there around the squad. But I don't think he's going to be first choice as a striker. What I do think is what you could see is what happened at Burnley and away. Where was the other one? Sheffield United, I think, as well. He comes off the bench and he plays as sort of like a wide striker. I know that might sound weird, but he's definitely done that role. And I think that him and Honeyman could sort of be squad players doing a similar type of job. You might think I'm an absolute weirdo, but that's my thinking and my reasoning. Right. We're going to go on now to returning loan players. I just brushed on it not long ago. Kamal Grant and Adam Mayer are both left-footed. To my knowledge, Kamal Grant is more of a defensive left-back / left centre-back, although he has scored a couple of goals for probably. And Adam Mayer's was a left winger, can play left wing back. Again, the wing back's role would definitely suit Adam Mayer, although we're not playing that at a minute. But Adam Mayer was actually keeping Kamal Grant out the team at Bromley. So I want to include all players. No disrespect to these players, but I'm not overly confident. No, wrong one. There we go. Jumping the gun a bit. I'm not overly confident that these players, like I say, Kamal Grant was getting kept out the side by Adam Mayer down at Hayes Lane. So I'm not overly confident that these two are going to be a part of things. I would imagine, again, Mayer's been here, a year, probably got a year to run. Kamal Grant, I'm not sure of the age difference there between those two boys. But Kamal Grant, as we saw earlier in one of the graphics, has been given an extra year. So for me, will those two be around the first team? Nothing personal, not my choice. I'm not seeing a lot of either of them, if I'm honest, but I would say no, according to Alex Neil. Now, Kevin Nisbet is a different one. Kevin Nisbet, when he first came to the club, he was all buzzing. He came, he scored loads of goals in pre-season. He looked really strong in the opening game when we drew 1-1 away at Middlesbrough. He was linking play, he was getting in positions. Just the finishing touch weren't there. He then scored a really good composed finish the first home game of the season. It might have been against Stoke, where lots of bodies in the area, he brings it down and he finishes it. Now, he played games according to, when I say played games, I mean he played up. And he clearly wasn't happy south of the ball, and that's a decision for him to make. But he will return to the club. And I always tie this in, maybe I shouldn't. Of course, he's Scottish, and Alex Neil is Scottish. The Jocks, I don't know, they like to stick together. I'm not sure. I just get that feeling about it. I could be completely wrong, like I said, once again. But for me, I'm not saying Nisbet's going to play under Alex Neil, but I think, especially in his current circumstances and the players we've got available, it's definitely an option for Alex Neil to maybe have that conversation with Kevin Nisbet. Do I think he'll come back and set the championship alight? No, because I think Scottish football's a lot weaker. He's been scoring goals up there for Aberdeen. Of course, he scored a lot of goals for Hibs previously to joining us. I don't know. I've just got a funny feeling that Nisbet's time at the club potentially isn't done. And I'm interested to see how that one progresses. Like I said, he could be fuck like, I can't stand it down there. And he can say he wasn't turning up for training late and and going missing and shit. So maybe, full stop, end of conversation. He doesn't want to be south of the border. But I don't know, Alex Neil, I like what he does. I like his team management. I'm guessing his man management is quite good because the players are responding to what he does, and we've been on a very good run. So maybe, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think that one's no wrong one again. Here we go. I don't think that one's dead in the water. So I've got a lot of graphics that look very similar, and I have named them all, but I ain't got my glasses on, so it's a fucking bit potluck. But let me know what you think in the comments. Could Kevin Nisbet potentially have a future at the club under Alex Neil? It's definitely one that's up for debate. Right, moving on now to the next bracket of players, which I've labelled as creative. There's a few in here. Managed to squash them all in on the screen. I'm going to be completely honest with you. God's honest truth. Okay, I've done all these graphics, and then I quickly looked back through the squad list, and I hadn't put Luke Cundle in any bracket. I hadn't put him in any graphic. So, and that's not even taking a piss. That's genuine. So that, that sort of proves, in my mind, where he's been sort of at towards the back end of the season. Let's start with Luke Cundle. I think he's going to end up being, I probably should have put him on the previous page, because if I'm honest, I think, well, look, this is the thing, right? Let's give him the pre-season. Let's see what he can do, because judging by his debut in the 2-1 win over QPR, where he got man of the match and he scored a goal, but it was everything other than his goal. That helped. But aside from his goal, if he hadn't have scored in that game, for me, he would have got man of the match anyway. He was superb. He was intense. He was powerful. He was getting beyond. He was doing these little triangles and passes and patterns of play. And then from then, he just completely tailed off. Now, you don't know what goes on in people's lives, and I'm not sure, but you would have thought being booked to the club as like a bit of a big signing for £1 million, which is quite a lot. Was a lot for us, maybe not so much anymore. From Wolves, high expectations. You have a debut like that, surely, in my opinion, you thrive from there. And it didn't happen, and he sort of slipped out of favour with Alex Neil after that. And then he's now sort of moulding into another Honeyman. All right, well, look, he works hard. He gets stuck in. He runs around a lot and puts in tackles, but he's not, he sort of seems to have switched the type of player that he is. But I'm hoping a full pre-season with the boys. He's only young, again, lots of potential to fill. I'm hoping that Luke Cundle can sort of rediscover that. And he's not going anywhere. That's the big thing to point out, is that we paid money for him. It's very unlikely he's going to be going anywhere else. If you look at that left to right, of course, you have got Ray Spangler-Williams, who's just signed a new 5-year deal with the club. Very talented, sped through the sort of, we didn't really do the youth teams, did he? Sort of coming from non-league, raw talent. That doesn't get coached out of him at Millwall Football Club. I hope he's allowed to continue that raw talent. I don't like him on the wings. I've mentioned that, but that could change. Again, he's a young player with lots of potential. He's big, he's powerful, and I'd like to see him sort of down the middle in the 10 if we play a 10. Could he progress to sort of being a George Savile-esque player inside Sean Williams, alongside Sean Williams, and then getting forward in an 8? I don't think the club will be that gung-ho, shall we say. But look, Ray Spangler-Williams, 5-year deal. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. If it is, it will be for big money, sort of Romain Esse-esque. So he's here to stay for next season, and I'm interested to see how he progresses. Kamil Nežley, of course, record signing, looks the real deal, but injuries again have hampered him again. Coming at Christmas, needs to get into the swing of the country and the level and the fitness, and the I was going to say the stress of it. Well, not the stress of it. I'm trying to think of the word that I'm trying to think of, and I can't think of the word. Otherwise, I would have already told you, wouldn't I? The physicality, shall I say? So Nežley, yeah, buzzing for him to be around. Cundle, we've covered. Femi Aziz, for me, is our most dangerous player. For me, Aziz has got about him now not just the confidence, but he's got a little bit of that a Jed Wallace aura, where he wants to be the main man. Give me the ball. I'll make things happen. And he'll take the responsibility. And there's been games, recently, was it Norwich? He just absolutely took liberties. He just completely dominated the game. And for me, at the minute, I'm not saying Nežley won't get to where he is, because I'm pretty sure he will. But right here, right now, looking at the last 10, 15 games of the season, Aziz is our most dangerous player coming from deeper. And he looks like a real talent. Again, he's only young. and even more potential to fulfil. Idabo Maku, I feel for. I don't like him on the left. I think his confidence has been squashed. And as I said before, I think confidence is a massive thing in football, especially for the wider players, especially for the bums off seats players. I'd love to see him play on the right wing. But for me, in a 4-4-2 next season, first choice is going to be Nesley and Aziz, in my opinion. Are we covered in those areas? Again, okay, with Benicio Baker there and another player which we're going to cover in forwards coming shortly, I think the club is well covered in this area. Again, there could be others that I've forgotten, but Honeyman will play as a wide man if need be. You've got Adam Mayer there. He might leave the club, I'm not sure. But with all those players there, I would say we're nicely covered. And I don't think the club are going to be looking to invest in those areas. Again, I could be completely miles off the mark. But it's just my opinion, and that's what I'm here for. And I'm also here to be shot down. Don't be shy. Right, moving on to the strikers. Now, this is big because, to my knowledge now, okay, you've got Kevin Nisbet back at the club, which we've covered. But to my knowledge, these are really, I mentioned Sheldon Kendall earlier, but he's quite young. These are the three first-team strikers. Now, AJ Matthews is one that we got from Middlesbrough. Come down south. Wasn't so sure what his role was going to be, and we quickly found out it was him in the 21s. He's been on the bench a couple of times for the first team, but again, I'm not sure whether that's through how well he's done the 21s, which he has, or whether it is through a pure lack of bodies and numbers in that area towards the end of the season. But I would like to think. Oh, hang on, sorry, there we go. I would like to think that he is going to get his chance. Again, I can't understand why we would pay money for him from Middlesbrough, bring him down, he scores loads of goals, and why he wouldn't get his chance. It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult at Millwall because we're sort of, we're not challenging for the top. We're there or thereabouts, sort of, it's sort of half there, so we could get playoffs, so we have to play our strongest side. But I don't know, she's trying to get people in to give them games. Like, where are you going to fit him in to give him a game? You can give him pre-season all you like, but it's not the same, is it? But I suppose people do it at different clubs, don't they? So there might be a route in for him eventually, but I don't think he's going to be first choice. I've got quite big hopes, and my mate said to me the other day, "What are you basing that on?" I said, "Fair point." For Zach Lovelace, of course, we did a Romain essay with Lovelace. We put him in the shop window. But he didn't get anywhere near the heights that the essay did before he moved to Rangers. And he went to Rangers for whatever he went for. I think it was done by a tribunal in the end. Didn't make the grade at Rangers, but when he came back, a lot of Rangers fans saying, "I can't believe we got rid of this kid. We should have given him the chance." I don't know. I've just got a funny feeling that he's going to do well, Zach Lovelace. He has said by his own admissions that since he's come back, he has developed as a player, and he can play, in sort of in this bracket as a wide man or in a 10. But I would like to see him up front with the Garlic. Of course, the Garlic, cult hero, Mihajlo Ivanovic. I don't think I ever say his name anymore, very rarely. Mihajlo Ivanovic, the big Garlic and Herb, yeah. He was obviously, I've said this in videos the other week, he is got to and exceeded Zian Fleming cult status at me. We fucking love him. Linked with Lazio. I'll put that in the video that I put out the other day. I'll link that in at the end. Hopefully that's not true. 13 goals in his first season. Out and out striker, out and out goal scorer, all different types of goals. But he needs partnership. Now, what does he need? Let me know. Does he need Coburn back? Does he need Nisbet to come in and try and make good? Or can Lovelace fill that void and fulfill his potential? This is another area. I mean, you've got Macaulay Langstaff there as well, but no disrespect to Langstaff, Coburn, or Nisbet. And I don't mind Coburn. I wouldn't mind Coburn coming back and being, him and Ivanovic playing certain games. For example, if we're away from home, we've got a lot of defending to do, defending from the front, winning balls in higher areas, holding up play, winning free kicks. I feel Coburn's better suited to that. And then the Garlic can come on and try and nick you a goal. If you're at the den and you're attacking, I'll have the Garlic. So those two, if Coburn was to come back, which I believe the club are interested in signing him, again, another young player, Coburn, lots of potential. I'd be happy with that, but I still would like to see the club go out and spend £5 million. He's saying £5 million. I don't know why I plucked that number out, but a substantial amount on a centre forward that will be more suited to playing alongside Ivanovic. Although, you know, not in defence of, or in, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, I'm not digging the garlic out, but his game, he has improved at it, but his game isn't what I just said Coburn does quite well, is hold the ball up, flick balls on. So what sort of centre forward would be better suited to Ivanovic? I'm not sure. I mean, if you've got Coburn back, Kep, Nisbet and Langstaff, then you don't need another striker, do you? In terms of numbers. But what I'm going to say is this: I think the club have got more ambition. I think they showed that in January. I think James Berylson try and take to a different sort of level. And I think you will see players come in during the summer. I would love to see, a landmark centre-back signing, a very exciting central midfield player, with lots of flair, that can run from in a 4-4-2 if we ain't got that 10. I like Mitchell, and I like Denor and Saville and Kelly, but they are all very similar types of players from what I've seen. Denor gets forward a little bit more, but to have that, I'm trying to think of the sort of type of player that I'm trying to explain. I did think of someone the other day, and I can't remember who it was. But yeah, let me know. I think we need a centre forward to suit Ivanovic's game. But what type of centre forward would that be? Let me know. I'd love to see us splash the cash on central midfielder, but I don't think we will. And also a centre back, because Cooper's aging, Jaff could go. And what we had for years since we come back, I think it was 8 years ago the other day, wasn't it? I think I posted it. The club posted it from when we got promoted in the playoffs. Is when we come into the Championship, we had Cooper and Webster. Then we had Hutchinson as well, Hutchinson and Coops for years. And we've always had that stable centre-back pairing. And I feel that now with Cooper getting older, and Hutchinson leaving and Jaff coming in, but potentially, hopefully not going out again, I think it's really important to get that stability with a strong connection with two centre-backs. So for me, looking at what we got, what do we need to kick on again? I mean, it'd be lovely to see the club go and buy another 6-7 players. I don't think they will. We've not really had the players that come in January involved too much due to injuries, etc. Left back, we definitely need. Love us to sign Zach Sturge. Central defender, central midfielder, and a centre forward, spending quite a big dough on those 3 central positions that I said. But let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you've enjoyed this show. Hope it made sense. Probably not, knowing me. And I will see you when I see you. Not got a lot lined up at the minute, to be honest with you. But I'm sure I'm going all day in 2 weeks' time. But once I'm back from that, then we'll get things going pre-season. Hopefully, me and the boys from Lions TV are going to be heading off to Spain for the pre-season. If it's there, one last thing, can I please ask you? Because last video I did ask you and it worked. We are 100 subscribers away from 25,000. So, boom. If you haven't already, you can't click on that. It's just a graphic. I don't know how to do it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I would have loved to get there before the end of the season. And we've still got time, because technically the season isn't over. I hope you're enjoying your summer. And hopefully plenty of videos to come through, plenty of summer sign-ins. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.